introduction first because I think one of the things that is missing.
I cannot see you back there.
You can't see me.
Yeah.
So we should do an introduction first because I think I know faces from being on Zoom, but I'm like, oh, you're tall. I saw Mark Bain today. He is super tall, but that's not my first time seeing him. But I just let me see all of your badges.
Oh yes, ma'am.
This is the Deborah Woods. If you have not met Deborah, the Deborah Woods. Bob.com. So I'm Keisha Kent. I am now the new Division E Director. I don't know how to log in and find the stuff yet, but I'm gonna get there. I'm also the president of Ascension Health Toastmasters Club. And when I thought about the role of president, I really wasn't that into it or interested in it because I'm more of VP of membership. And that's always what I do. So I can't let it go because I think we all should be always recruiting. And this is not the membership session, but I want to say that. We should always be recruiting. Think about that. People come because we invite them, right? Okay. So who wants to go next?
So I'm Elizabeth Bowles from Ozark Orders.
You're a long way.
Yes, we got up early.
Oh, from Ozark. All right, Elizabeth. Thanks for coming.
Hi, I'm Nicole Yu. I'm from the Washington University at campus.
Oh, yeah, right on campus, huh? Nice.
I'm Cree. I'm Sergeant at Arms from the Toastmasters Club for
Okay. Then let's come back down this way and we'll be different.
I'm Patel from O'Fallon Toastmasters.
Claudia!
I'm sorry?
You said Claudia?
No, Connell.
Connell. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. From O'Fallon Toastmasters.
O'Fallon, Illinois. Yes.
Thank you. All right.
I'm just a member.
All right, good.
I joined in the pandemic, so I'm one of the new members.
You're welcome.
You did a speech contest, right?
No, I didn't.
I met you online. I
Oh.
saw you online.
Yeah.
Ah, see, we see all these people online.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
And well, I was
Woo.
curious.
Masters of Organizational Leadership.
Interesting.
I guess it's kind of new over like the last 20 years.
From what years?
From Judson University.
I was like, I want to see that. What is that?
Good question. Mary.
Hey, so I'm Mary, so I'm with the Toastmasters in Central West.
Oh, okay. Hello, Mary. And you are ma'am down here?
I am Deborah Woods from Cave Spree Toastmasters. I am currently the Vice President of Public Relations.
Public Relations.
Back to my favorite role.
I am Leah Foster of Cave Springs Toastmasters. I am the secretary because Ms. Deborah Woods requested I be, so I am the secretary for the club.
Deborah's good about recruiting people.
Yes.
She should do membership.
I am Cherie Addertall, and I am advisor in Chesterfield, and part of the global black community, and we're driving,
Global Black Community.
Yeah, it's a colleague resource group or business resource group within Pfizer.
Like an ERG.
Yeah, ERG,
Okay,
yeah, employee resource group, yeah, exactly. And I've been passionate about starting up Toastmasters, so we're driving it through and getting our site set.
So it's a new club already?
We just did the fee. Step one, put the fee down, so yeah, we're looking to get it up and running by July 31st, and
So you're a new member.
yeah. I'm not technically a member, just I put the fee down, so, but yes, yeah.
Inside of my
Exciting.
inside
At
of
Pfizer.
Right, okay.
So it's a corporate club too.
It'll be a corporate club, yeah.
Nice.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I'm Tammy Graves. I am the treasurer with the Aetna Toastmasters Club. We're also a corporate club.
Woohoo! Welcome, Tammy. Tammy's also my friend. Since kindergarten.
Really? Yeah.
Hello, I know your face. No, him right here.
I mean,
Is that Nathan?
Patrick.
Oh, Patrick. So y'all got your name wrong now. I know you though. You've been doing a lot of stuff virtually. Okay.
Yeah, I'm Patrick, South County Toastmasters. No role right now. I did give the presentation earlier today, so I guess it kind of
Today?
counts. Yeah.
Now in the red hats, I know you
I'm
too.
Mike Marion with the Anheuser-Busch.
Mike, Anheuser-Busch Club, right? Yeah. All right. Next. Let's see. Yeah.
I'm Jackie Kim Blackman, I'm with Scriptmasters, we're a corporate club, and I'm currently the treasurer.
Jackie! Jackie knows all things. Get her information.
Did you want that in check or did you want that in money order?
Check.
Okay.
Cash
Everyone,
out.
my name is Abel Carrillo. I'm over at Scott Air Force Base with Scott Speakers Association. I'm the treasurer.
Hello, Abel, with that voice. Last but not least.
I'm H.K. Patel. I am from Clayton Midtown Club 283. Our club is almost 70 years old.
Isn't that all?
Yeah, 283 out of all 16,000. So anyway, I'm an ex-president. Right now I'm not an officer. I'm just a member.
Ooh, all right. Now it's not just a member.
Relax.
People say that though. What does that mean? No.
It's just member means a lot of responsibility. Listening is something which I have to do.
Ooh, that's good. Okay. Now, how many of you are, first of all, are familiar with this method called the triangle method? Are you familiar with that?
Somewhat.
No.
A little bit.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know what it is, I don't know if I am.
So you don't know what it is, right? Have you heard of it? And I'm asking you these questions because I want to, let me restart this real quick. I want to get an idea of kind of your knowledge already. There we go. Okay.
So our president in my club taught it one day, but she called this something. I think we chatted right quick. She called it Low-C or Low-Key method. I just remember the triangle thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I have an idea what it might be.
Okay. You have an idea. What's your idea? Share it.
Well, when I went to study with Callan Rush, Callan said, you stand over here and look at the audience over here, you stand over here and look at the audience over here, so that the people that you're close to will feel connected to you because you're near them, but you've got to bring in the audience across the room and vice versa.
That's it. Really, when you think.
Oh, man, I got it.
You did. And that's really what it is. And typically they say it's most used when you are a larger audience. You really want to make sure that you do it because sometimes when there is 100 people, it's tough to kind of make them feel that connection. But do you see how I'm like, because we're more intimate here, so I'm kind of going off the cuff a little bit, but when you think about the entire 100 people that maybe you're speaking to, the big thing that you want to do to kind of help you kind of cheat a little bit, if you notice that speakers, they kind of hold up this triangle when they're speaking. What they're doing is they're making sure that they're hitting the people up. They're looking over here at the red hats. Hi. They're looking over there, Bree, and they're making sure that they connect to people. But the thing that really resonates the most with us in Toastmasters is delivering our speech in a way where we are vocally in the building, they can hear us, they hear our energy, and now we have their attention and we kind of get them to engage. So when you think about the triangle method, let me give you the definition that they say. It's a speaker's triangle, a delivery device commonly employed in competitive and academic public speaking activities. It involves a speaker engaging in a series of transitions. You see me walking around, walks, physically moving, different positions, and typically when you're on the stage, they're doing this. And they're doing this. And they're coming out to the outside, right? So when you think about, I was looking over at some of the people that have won the big Toastmasters, the international speech. And when you pay attention to what they're doing, they're using that method. But nowhere on Toastmasters on the website does it talk about that we're actually using the triangle method. But most coaches that will coach somebody at that level, they're teaching people to maneuver in this fashion, okay? So I wanted to give you some insight there. That's really little. But it starts with you. And when you think about the power of you owning that audience and those people, people typically say that the audience kind of can lead it, but as the speaker, you have the ability to lead that audience. I don't care how the audience comes across. I recently spoke with an audience, and I was the only female in that group. And instantly walking in, one of the coordinators that were setting it up, she said, "You're the only woman there." So she deposited something in me that I had to quickly uproot. Because had I kept that energy in, I'd have been like, I'm in here with all these boys. They probably don't think I know. But I walked in as the subject matter expert. And we get to use that experience that we hold as the speaker. We know our materials, first of all. That's why I say it starts with you. When we know our materials, we know what we're passionate about it, we win every single time. And people may not always resonate with what you're speaking about if it's not something that they're used to. But as the speaker, we have the ability to explain and to educate them so that they can walk away, Mary, and say, well, maybe I might try to jump double dutch. That's what I talked to those men about, was jumping double dutch. And I did that because I wanted to think about the power of something that I was good at that I could teach them. And I put a section in the presentation and said, I brought the rope too. And the coordinator was there and she knew how to turn. So I said, I would love to show you all who's interested in doing it. I didn't think anybody would raise their hand, but do you know how many people raised their hand? Like 4 men. And they were engineers. Know how they think already, right? But they did. We taught them how to turn, and one actually learned how to jump. And when I think about the power of our persuasion as the speaker, it's important for us to own it. Again, as I was creating it, had I thought about, well, maybe they won't be able to, maybe they don't want to try it, or maybe they won't want to listen, or maybe all those things that come up in our minds, it would have taken me off course. But they tried it. So again, it starts with you. You set the tone in any space that you're in when it comes to you leading as the speaker. You get to set the tone. You get to set the lights. You want them turned down, you get to do that. And when you think about this entire triangle, when you flip the triangle, it points back to you, right? But again, it starts with you. So think about as you're in these spaces, and if you're a person that the lights are too bright, take it back to you. Change it and remember that you set the tone. If you're in a space that may not be adjustable and things like that, ask ahead of time for what you need. But again, it starts with you and you set the tone, okay? How do you think about waking up your audience? You wake up the audience. Can you see that? That's so low, you all. But you wake up the audience. Do you feel the energy from me today coming to you?
Yes.
You get to wake up the audience. And I say that because sometimes when we're in presentations at work and we hear these people and they're so, and as a Toastmaster, it's hard for me to kind of sit through it. Even I think if I wasn't a Toastmaster, I think sometimes I have ADD and I'm like, what are they doing? What is up? You lose people. But again, you get to wake up your audience and you have to make sure that you are in a space where you move throughout that, okay? So when you think about the triangle method, I want to see if there's somebody that would want to come up here and try this thing out. I want to share this other point with you too. So some of the other benefits of the triangle method are these. When you think about this tool that you have, most people that are speakers and they use this tool when they're standing, their points are here. So whatever their points are, so if you have specific points that you want to share, your top 3 bullet points or your specifics that you want to share, you can use this same method to have your points, right? You set the tone, wake up your audience. You know, you can use these to remember. And then typically you'll see things like when the person's speaking, you'll see their fingers moving like this sometimes because they're remembering those points. So that's another tool that you can use as a speaker to kind of keep your points here in your head after you've memorized. So it helps you memorize your points and get them out. The other thing is when you create this zone in this triangle, now you're connecting, right? Can you feel me looking at you up there? You're connecting. So you're reminding yourself to do that when you're like, but also with this triangle here, it kind of helps you keep from fidgeting too if you're a fidgeter. Because some people are fidgeters when they're up speaking, that's a nervous thing. But kind of keeping your hands together, not in your face because sometimes it takes away, but it really helps you work on not being a fidgeter, okay? All right, so I want to see if anybody is interested in understanding and sharing or kind of coming up to do this. And when you think about, okay, come on, because when you think about your triangle, I want you to think, see the orange, that H, that's your home base. So here I am right now, this is my home base in my vision. And I'm here. So in your head, you think about, okay, that's point 1, that's point 2. Okay, you take over. And you look at the audience, and so what I want you to do, Cherie, is introduce yourself to the audience and tell them 3 things that make you tick or that you're passionate about.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cherie Adams Hall, and I am a scientist. And what really makes me tick is, even though I'm in an analytical space, and I love to research and I love to find things out and understand things. What really makes me tick is seeking out equity, finding a way to level the playing field for people all around in every space that I'm in. Another thing that I love to do, it makes me happy, is connecting with people and sharing, learning from them, hopefully maybe imparting a little bit with them. And the final thing I'd like to share with you is I do love learning. So finding ways to grow myself so that I can better fulfill my purpose.
Give her a round of applause! Cherie did that off the cuff. Did you see it?
Yeah.
But Cherie, you're not a Toastmaster already?
In my heart.
I see. And did you watch her move? Did you all see her move?
Yes.
That's exactly it. And when you think about, again, you know what you're passionate about. You know who you are. And when you introduce yourself, that is already something that you have within you, within your toolkit, I'll say, that you can own. That's always the number 1 question that people will ask you. Sometimes when you're meeting somebody for the first time, tell me a little bit about you. But I always like to throw it in 3s and say, what are 3 things that you're passionate about or 3 things that make you tick? Do you see me? Are you watching my head? But also I'll say this, it just popped in my spirit, is as you're walking through that triangle, really be careful about your movement. Because sometimes we're like, and you'll make your audience dizzy. So if you don't hear anything else I say today, just be patient and take it easy. And your movement was spot on. I watched how you gave your eye contact. Did she connect with anybody visually? Did she connect with any of you all? Okay, good, good. And that's exactly what it's about. Is that your hand raising that you want to try too, Deborah Woods?
Oh, yeah, you saw mine.
I saw your invisible hand, come on up. out your invisible hand. Come on.
Okay.
Take the stage.
So what am I doing?
You are introducing yourself. You're
Yes.
so cute today too.
Okay, I'm introducing myself.
Introducing yourself, and you're gonna tell 3 things that make you tick or that you're passionate about.
Hello, I am Deborah Woods, and 3 things that make me tick or that I'm passionate about would be, the first is I'm a mama coach and cheerleader. I love supporting moms. Being a parent was so hard for me that when I finally figured out how to make that all happen successfully, I just really wanted to share it with other moms to make their journey easier. The second thing that I'm passionate about is playing with kids. There is nothing more fun for me than being in my play therapy room with a little one and watching their personality unfold, watching the way that they express who they are as a person, seeing them come out of their shell. Oh my goodness, that just is the thing that I live for. And the third thing, which is probably the first thing, is Jesus.
Ooh, okay.
He is the reason I'm here. I wouldn't be alive if it hadn't have been for a moment when he said, you're gonna live. And so that changed my whole life. And so he's the reason I do everything I do. All right.
Toastmaster. Did you see her like, did you see her hands, y'all? She's like, oh, HK wants to go. Come on, HK. Did you see her? She's like, that's our gesturing, right? And when you think about keeping those points, that's another good way to remember what you're thinking too, is your gestures. It helps you memorize, as you're memorizing what you're doing and how you do it and what you want to say. Those gestures and that step out is the way to pull your people into. Thank you. Thank you. HK!
Hi.
Introduce yourself and tell us 3 things about you.
Triangle. Triangle is 3 things, 3 corners. First of all, I am an architect. I have retired now. I've done all kinds of projects, hospitals, casinos in almost 30 states. I've been even to Hawaii and did a hospital there.
Oh, wow.
I was a director in my office, having people do the work. I don't know how to draw, but I told people what to do. Everybody enjoyed it. So that's part of me. I was trained from Washington University, right here.
Yeah.
This university, I became a graduate and been here since many years. So that's my career, my profession, architect. The other thing about me is I'm a poet. I've written 3 books, and this is unfortunately in my language, Gujarati.
Okay.
She probably knows it. But these are 3 books. It just came to me contemplating about the life. Besides being architect there, where I connected with everybody, there is something that I need to connect with myself. And this is what I do. When I'm not talking to people, I'm listening to them. And so that's poetry part of me.
Yeah.
It is still a communication, back and forth.
Right.
That's the other angle of it. The third part of me is actually the most important, is a meditator. I do meditation every day, 4 o'clock. And this is the most important thing I found in my life. Beside architecture, beside being a poet, it's what is the life? I just contemplated.
Yeah.
Everybody is great and we learn from everybody. What have I learned from me? There is something within me that I don't know. You know, we know what God is.
Yeah.
You know, what names of the gods are. But who am I has been always been a number one question through my life. And so anyway, I do that, and you won't believe if you close your eyes and you close your mind actually also. When you go beyond your expectations, and this is my experience, there is some world you come across, it's beyond your imagination.
Yeah.
And this is what I love the most. Thank you.
You all are killing it. Who else wants to go? Abel, is that your hand I see?
My hand? My virtual hand.
Your invisible hand. You kind of do it.
You guys, I'll go up here since you led the example.
Yes.
My name is Abel Carrillo from Speakers Association. My background, I'm a flight engineer in the Air Force. I'm still active duty. I'm almost gonna hit that 20 years old.
20?
Years active, yeah, almost there. 6 months away, so hitting that magic number.
He started it too.
Yeah, I got a 23-year-old, that tells you a little bit how old I am. So.
Okay.
3 children, 23, 18, and 7. And that is one of my passions, is my children.
Okay.
I am in the tail end of a divorce, so they're becoming even more in my life. I want to make sure that they're taken care of, they're going to be prosperous, and that they feel loved. My second passion is fitness. Wish I would have learned a lot of the mistakes I've made over the years. You know, I've had a lot of failures, a lot of success, and I just wish I would have learned that 15, 20 years ago, especially taking those PT tests, active duty in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can be a chore. My last thing is that I've become more passionate about, that has to do kind of with my children, is the environment. I think that we're in a crucial stage now where we create a lot of waste, and I'm just becoming better, also teaching my children how to recycle, be more mindful of the environmental world, because that's going to be their world later on here shortly. So only got a few years left on this planet. But a couple of things about me, and that is all.
Woo! Happy early anniversary.
Thank you.
Happy early anniversary. Anybody else want to try? Come on. Come on with it. I'm glad that we created this space in there. That was one thing I wanted to do, is make sure it's interactive. Because why not?
Can we review very briefly?
Yes.
I stand here,
Yes,
and then I walk over here. Is that like that?
you can. Yeah.
And then I walk over here,
Yeah, you sure can.
and then I walk back. Is that the?
So if you were even just to go side by side, side to side, but you're using your eyes to connect with the triangle, you're making a triangle here, and you bring it back. That's your triangle method.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily have to go out. If you want to go out here, you go for it. But if you want to stay here, and you're here, and you're here, you can do it.
All right. Thank you.
So talk to us.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Hunt. I'm from South County Toastmasters. And something that I am passionate about is science. I do research, and my favorite model organism, the one that I work with, is C. elegans. For those of us who aren't aware, this is a worm at their very biggest. They're maybe a centimeter long. And the reason that I like to work with them instead of things like mice or humans is, first of all, there's no ethical issues with this. You can melt them, you can take their RNA out, and they're barely animals. Well, I mean, they're not like the fluffy kind that we all like as humans. But they don't live too long. That means you can explore their entire lifespan over the course of 30 days or so. With mice, you have to wait a few years. You can't really do lifelong studies like that. That's why I like them. Another thing that I'm passionate about is public speaking. And it's because, in my experience as someone who has had a lot of professors, a lot of teachers, a lot of these people are really bad at talking about. For a lot of us who have been in any form of academia, high school, college, post-graduation, a lot of these people are just, they can't talk about the subject matter. They're very intelligent people, but getting it across in a way that you understand, they just don't. Also, I have a cat. That's my third fact. Thank you.
Do you want to do this triangle method? Come on, show us. Because we just have a prompt. We just have a prompt, and the prompt is introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then tell us 3 things that you're passionate about using the triangle method.
Tell us who I am and 3 things I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to go this way,
Yeah.
this way, and over here.
Yeah, and the gist of it is when you think of your audience, you're touching at the top, you're here to the left, and you're here to the right, and you come back and you continue.
Is that just my head or my body?
That can be your head, or you can move too. Because when you think about that movement, you're bringing your audience with you.
Who I am and
3 things you're passionate about.
good afternoon. I am Sharice Manor, Toastmaster with Scott. I am a government contractor. Well, I'm a government contract writer at NGA, and I just got a new job and a promotion, so I'm really happy about that.
And what other role with Toastmasters?
Oh, I'm the program quality director this year. I have been a Toastmaster for 3 years this October and love it. I came because of an open house, and I got invited because of my mentor. I told her I would like to learn to advocate for myself. She said, go to Toastmaster. I went, I was hooked. So I'm still here, and I think I'm probably a lifer. I love what Toastmaster stands for. I'm growing, I'm learning, I feel satisfied, especially in the place when I was at that other job, I didn't feel like I was growing enough. So Toastmaster filled that gap. I'm passionate about training and education, and when I mean that, I mean I like to teach anything. So if I can learn it, somebody else can learn it, and if I can make things that seem, minus the technical and the medical field, if I can make things that seem complex simple for others, then I would like to be like that translator. I love my son. I love my husband too, but my son is my pride and joy because I was not supposed to have kids. And he happened to show up, and he's extremely spoiled, extremely confident, but not a brat. So. And my other passion, minus Toastmasters, I am a part of another organization called Federally Employed Women, and I am the treasurer this year in that organization, and I like to pass on. I have a nonprofit that's called God's Girl, and the mission is to reach women and girls across all generations, to empower them to fulfill their life's purpose. And I kind of look at it as a stretch like this. And you could be anywhere on the arms, you could be reaching down, you could be in the middle where you're holding people together, or you could be reaching up. So that is what I'm passionate about. I'm pretty sure I didn't do great.
You did great!
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other takers who want to try out? Come on, Jackie Jack!
One comment, you can tell you're in the room with Toastmasters because you don't detect any filler words.
Ooh, you all hear that? You all hear that? You can tell you're in the room with Toastmasters because you can't hear any filler words. And then here comes Jackie shutting it down.
We're gonna shoot that
Shut
idea
it
down. Hi, my name is Jackie Cam Plackard. I've been in Toastmasters for 9 years. When I first started, I was sitting back there for a whole year, not saying anything.
A whole year.
Whole year. And nobody invited me to say anything. So I figured I would learn by osmosis. And I did. And then they asked me to help. And I've been helping ever since. So one of the things that I'm passionate about, helping people. When I help somebody, I learn about them. I learn about their differences. I learn about how they think. I learn about their culture. I learn about their food. And that kind of has something that goes, ooh, I never tried that, or that's different. So it's nice to see a difference, and that keeps me learning.
I enjoy scrapbooking. I am a minimalist. Picture, story. Picture, story.
Yeah.
I love seeing other people, they have beautiful displays. And then, but you have no idea who's in the picture. And you don't know when it was taken or what was the occasion.
Yeah.
And so you'll give this to your son and they'll be like, who's that? Why is that important? What's my tradition? What am I learning from all this? What's the message? And so for me, the writing, just as the speaking, the communication that's what's important. The other thing that I really enjoy is Chinese medicine. And I asked my husband, I was like, do you want me to hurt you? And he says, yes, please. And so I will find spots and it will release anger or it will help help him sleep. Help him to, when someone says my hand hurts, you might have carpal tunnel. Well, there are certain points that you can do for carpal tunnel to get that circulation back. Someone says I've got a migraine. Well, I can hurt you and make your migraine feel better. Some people, you do their feet and they're like, okay. One of the points my acupuncture did, he goes, on my foot, he goes, well, now this is gonna hurt. And I'm like, okay. So he left it in there for 20 minutes and you're thinking, yep. But that was a release of pent-up emotion. So that was very helpful for me. And so now it's like, angry. So those things I'm very passionate about. Scrapbooking, Chinese medicine, learning, and helping others.
Ooh. You see how she tied it back in at the end?
Yes.
She's good, right? Who else? Does anyone else want to try? You have time. I created space. Let me know. Bree, is that you? Oh, Tammy said I'm going. Come on, Tammy. I thought that was Bree I heard. Come on, Tammy. You stand wherever you'd like to.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. I am Tammy Graves. I mentioned earlier I'm a member of the Atlanta Toastmasters Club since about 2017, from St. Louis, born and raised. I have 3 passions that I like to share with you all. And I think I heard a little bit from everybody. So as I was thinking about this question, I thought, oh, that's great, you're a mom. And somebody talked about faith and equity and how all of those pieces make us who we are. So 3 things I'll share with you about me without stealing what everybody else said so far was faith, family, and friends. My faith is important to me. I'm working on that every day, trying to get closer and having a personal relationship is important. I started reading more, a devotional, a little bit at a time. I listen to sermons and things like that. I think more importantly, what I like to do is connect with people and help people and live by example. So that's something that's passionate to me, or that's a passion. Second is family. Family is everything. I love my family. I try to spend as much time with them as I can. My parents are still here. They're still together. I try to visit them often and call. Love to celebrate whenever we have parties and connect and things like that. Family is huge. I'm a mom. I have 6 kids and 3 grandkids. People look at me and say, what? So I have a little disclaimer, combination of his, mine, and ours, but we make it work. My granddaughter is here with us from California over the summer, and she wants to do everything, and I'm trying to make that happen while working full time. So finally, friends. Friends are also important to me. I keep my circle small, but we are very tight. We share goals. We help keep each other accountable. And we have people that we can trust and rely on and who have been in our circle for years. Keisha and I go back 40 years. That's just a testament to a little bit about who I am. So faith, family, friends. I'm Tammy Graves. Thank you.
Hey. I'm a little biased. Wonderful, Tammy. Who else? We can pause here. Let's pause. And I want to ask you, when it comes to this method, how do you feel about what you've gained so far and what you already knew when it comes to the triangle method? Do you already naturally sort of do this when you're standing in front speaking to people? Because I've seen people do it, which is why the question I posed earlier, how many of us are familiar with it? We didn't know we were doing it, but we were doing it, right? So how do you feel understanding the concepts and seeing this diagram? How do you feel today after getting this? Is it something that you're like, that's easy? How do you feel before I give you words? Yes?
One of the things I didn't realize, because I tend to be a mover, and in our club we really encourage people to do that. But I never thought about standing on one side and speaking to the opposite side. So that has kind of opened my eyes. That's a new element for me.
Good. Yes, Tammy.
And I'll just add to that, to have somebody that you can make eye contact with and see them shaking their heads, that's huge. I think that you have that immediate connection. And you know that at least you're on the right track, where people may have a confused look or they're not quite connecting with you or multitasking. It's a way to really bring them back.
Yes. Who else? Is that your hand? There you go. Yeah.
So a lot of that was very new. The concept of the audience members that are close to you are naturally close to you, easier to connect. So doing something very simple as looking all the way to the rear and across that's really very interesting.
Especially when you're thinking of large audiences. It's a little bit more difficult to connect when it's a super large audience, but using this method, you kind of bring the people in and you're connecting, but you can kind of create that space and that confidence for you at the same time. What else, you all? Any other questions?
I have one.
Yes, HK.
It's good concept, you have 1, 2, and 3, and it's good connecting and everything. But I think, shouldn't we just focus on one, which is...
One person?
Not one person, one theme, who you are, versus diluting, I'm this, and this always. So it kind of dilutes a little bit. You can always get into those second and third angle, but emphasize what is the most who you are. And to me, that connects a little bit more than just black, white, and gray.
Gotcha. So that one point of who you are.
Who you really are.
Yeah.
And that helps me even understand who I am. And it may not connect it, but I think that whole idea of connection, that just when you try to connect anybody, you disconnect. When you are within yourself, and if you're truly within yourself, you really connected. And so I think, what is that one that really you are? That's, I think, do you have any comment on that?
That's a good point. And when I think of it, because I do a couple different things, it's hard for me to talk about that one thing. And because in my mind's kind of boop, 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 there's a lot happening up here. So I tend to want to share those different things because I'm not just that one thing. There's so many of the things that I am that make me the one thing, right? And when I think about those passions, I think that they're all still connected and they're all still me, but it's just how you deliver it. Yeah, that's a great point. It's a really good point. Who else? Okay.
Keisha, what's the H, the 3H?
The H is the home base. The H is your home base. So this is your home base. When you're thinking about where you are, that's your home base. The H is for home base. Good question. Because I didn't say that, did I? I just assumed we'd know what H was. Good. Okay, you all. So let's keep track, and we have a few more points that I want to share with you all. We talked about this, and this came up naturally. Gesturing. Did you all see the gestures today? Did you see it? Did you see our Toastmasters? Did you see it? Deborah's like, who else did you see gesturing?
I forgot her name.
Tammy?
No, not
Jackie? Jackie did. She's like. And when you think of that gesturing, it helps you remember your points, but it also is kind of saying to that part, yeah, yep, and this. And you can really deliver it like eloquently too. You're like,
Could you say more about how it can help remember your point?
yeah, so when you're memorizing your points, so think about how when Jackie recapped or when Deborah recapped, she brought all those points back together. So she thought of those 3 points mentally first, and it kind of comes too as you're starting to learn the process and start to get it. I talk with my hands always anyway, but the other thing is not doing too much for your life. You'll lose the people, but it kind of helps you in that point where you're like.
The other thing you want to try to do is make sure that your body is saying the same message as your mouth.
Good point. Good point. Really good point. Who else wants to add to that? Gesturing. Deborah, what are some reasons and some things, what do you think of when you think of gesturing? Because you're good at that. What comes to mind for you?
That's interesting because I've been a Toastmaster for 12 years, and so much of what I do, I think in my mind I'm doing everything wrong, and people tell me I'm doing things right. So I know my nature is to be hard on myself and to be perfectionistic. And so for me, thinking about a process draws me out of the process. But if I don't learn a new process, I can't use a new process. And so the more that I learn the process and watch other people doing it, and even as you were talking and my mind sees a process a certain way, the way it was taught to me, but you showed me so much more about how to bring in the triangle in different sort of ways, not just one specific way. And so you opened my mind to a variety of ways of using it. And then you pointed out that I was doing something correctly, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So thank you.
You're welcome. Who else has something they want to add about gestures? Yes.
Gestures has been overly emphasized. It becomes almost theatrical. And we try to force the gestures. Unless it is natural, we should not try to do
That's
it.
right. That's right.
And a good example is you. You didn't overly emphasize, it came from you. So it's more impressive and more believable. When you force it, it's become theatrical.
It is, and it's over
And
the top.
whatever is natural for you, you should do it. So that's my feeling about gestures.
Good. That's great. Again, even taking this method, make it yours. Make it natural. Make it to the point where you own it. That's the only way that it'll work for me, if I make it my own and I own it. You'll tweak some things as you need to tweak them relatable to who you are, right? All of those pieces are part of your gestures. Vocal variety. Who heard that today? Did you hear that today?
I just heard it.
Each one of our speakers, we could hear their passions. That vocal variety will help you deliver with your passion every single time. We have an amazing VP of our club, Shannon Geyer. If you don't know her, we just made her a LinkedIn page because people need to find her. So she's on LinkedIn too. She's so amazing at vocal variety. She's amazing. She also won the last I wanna say not international speech, so our local, she just won that for the humorous contest. And she is thebomb.com. If you didn't get to hear her, she's really good. But she's great at vocal variety. When you think about somebody who's standing in front of you, sometimes 45 minutes, sometimes to an hour, and they're monotone, how do you leave that meeting? Exhausted. Every time you get up and you give a speech, I want you to make sure that you use vocal variety. Now, I always say this, crutch words. What are crutch words? I, and like, so, but, all the things. What I want you to do every single time that you think of a crutch word, or you think that you want to say, what I want you to do is pause, collect your thought, and keep it moving. And say it. Because is buying you space to think. That's all it's doing. But when you say you're outwardly thinking. But when you hold it, you're still thinking about it. But the is buying you that space when you don't need it. Because what you can do is pause, collect yourself, and keep it moving. Okay, so if you don't hear me say anything else, pause and keep it moving, okay? All right, we talked about that. I wanted to show you this diagram here. Is it little up there? It's kind of little. But it's just showing you what we talked about more of today, right? We did our practice already, bam. Okay, you all. Any other questions? We're a little bit ahead of schedule, but we're doing good. Any other questions? Mary.
So I have a question about vocal variety. So I think you probably see it the most in stand-up comedians. I think they probably have the best.
The best!
Naturally. But if you're not trying to be funny, how do you do vocal variety without sounding weird or awkward?
I was so afraid. Simple.
So just over-dramatize.
Yeah, just a little bit. And when you're telling the story or you're up giving that speech and you're talking about your point, and I was absolutely flabbergasted to learn that.
Got it. And when you do that, then the hand gesture should be natural.
Yes! And you saw that? Mm-hmm. It's like, and it happens like that. And it all should be natural. Don't ever do it where it's so theatrical that it's over the top and cray-cray. Keep it simple.
I'll add to that too. What you can do is also slow it down. If you're talking about something that is bringing up maybe a traumatic experience or something that may cause you to pause a little bit as you're thinking about it, just and that brings the audience with you to slow it down, to go in a different pattern for speaking.
It sure does.
Yep.
And it makes them engage more, and they may lean in.
Right, especially if you do a hand gesture, especially some pause and go.
And they're like, what's she gonna say? That's a good tool. That's a good tool. If you have not listened to any of those international speeches on YouTube, do it. Do it. I can sometimes remember their speeches based on their gestures. There's the one girl that recently won, and she's like, remember her? She's like, I don't remember what the speech was about, but she...
Still standing.
I'm still standing. Yeah. So if you have not, go to YouTube and look at those and do it often, because there's so much at our fingertips that we have to develop as speakers. And the thing that I've learned in joining Toastmasters, I originally joined in 2012. It was a Gavel Club through Dress for Success. And I was in that Gavel Club probably maybe 4 or 5 years before I actually had joined the club, but they prepped us so much. And then I said I wanted to learn and keep learning and keep learning. And I said I wanted to make a business out of public speaking. And I've done that. And opportunities come. People hear that you're a Toastmaster and they eat that up. I have it in my bio that I am a Toastmaster. Within your workspace, professional development, most companies will pay for professional development credits and things like that. If you're not utilizing that within your company, companies will pay for that. Professional development is part of that. And if there's not a club within your company, see if they want to start one. Tell them about it.
Yes. Mary's question was an excellent question. Especially when you speak about technical things that might not be exciting. So how do you utilize that variety? And you definitely don't want the monotone, which is one of my development areas. So how do you do that with more technical aspects? And so what I was thinking is you're making a point, an overarching point.
Yeah.
And start a little louder.
Yeah.
And then once you have made that point, just a little softer, people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm starting and I'm finishing.
That's it. That's exactly it. And you'll see that they start to lean in. Then they lean back and lean back. But they do lean in. But that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all. I'm going to give you some time back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you're free to roam about the earth. Oh, you got 5 over.